Hey everybody! Okay, so today we're talking about general reference, the next type of unclear reference that we need to make sure we fix in preparation for clear writing and, of course, the ACT. So this one is one that I see a lot in our writing, and this is one that your eyes might just skim over right away because we're so used to doing it. This is called general reference. So a general reference is when you have a pronoun that refers to an idea instead of something specific. So when I have a pronoun, I picked up my phone, it was on the table. It is my pronoun, and that's referring to something specific. The antecedent is the phone. You have to have something direct. So if you say a pronoun, and if you put in a pronoun and think like, okay, what is the antecedent of this? You're not using a pronoun properly. So it's most commonly associated with the words it, that, this, and which. And most commonly in writing, I see it with the word this in students' writing. You'll see it in just a second. So we have a general reference like this. In his act, Joe told jokes, did impersonations, and sang comic songs. This amused his audience. Now, I know you're all wondering, right, who Joe is and if we know Joe. But if we get past that idea and just think about Joe doing these things, you have this pronoun here. When I'm looking through it, you have a his, right? His, but right now his is describing act. So it's technically an adjective there. And if I go on, I have his audience, but his is describing audience again, so it's an adjective there too. And I'm left with this pronoun this, all right? So what is this referring to? Is there one specific thing that it's referring to? No, actually, it's not. This is referring to his telling of jokes, his doing impersonations, and his singing those comic songs. So you have to correct it by replacing that pronoun with a noun, or you can rephrase a sentence. There's two ways to fix it. And so if it's the ACT, you'll be given options, and they won't give you both options. They won't do that to you. But if you're writing it on your own, you get to choose. All right, so the ways to correct it, number one, you can replace that pronoun as it says. So this will become these activities. So in his act, Joe told jokes, did impersonations, and sang comic songs. These activities amused his audience. So now you have activities, which is a noun on its own. You don't have that general pronoun anymore. Or you can restructure your sentence. So you could say something like, Joe amused his audience by telling jokes, singing songs, doing impersonations, and singing comic songs. So you can do all of that. Either way is great. The second way is going to be better if you're trying to make a word count on like an IB paper, which will happen. But either way would be appropriate. So where I see this most often done incorrectly is with quotations. So we'll say something like, O'Brien says that a true war story is never moral. This shows that. And if you've noticed, what I like to do is I like to take your this and put a little box around it, right? What that means is that you have a general reference right there. And so we want to make sure that we're avoiding that. So how can you go about avoiding that? So the first way to fix it is to replace this with what the word is. And that's if you have a longer quote and you're really just focusing on a section of it. So O'Brien says that a true war story is never moral. The word never is used to explain whatever it is. Now, most of the time you should really just pull out the part of it that you want to talk about. So you don't have that longer quote than shorter thing, unless you're going to break that quote down into pieces. You're going to explain the word never. You're going to explain the words moral. You're going to explain true war, whatever it is. The second way to do that is if you have a short quote like this, a true war story is never moral, and you want to kind of talk about the quote as a whole and the words that O'Brien is using as a whole. O'Brien's statement that a true war story is never moral means, right? That's a different way to fix it. Now there are other ways to fix it. Those are just two that would work well, and two that I see that people use. So now you're going to try it. You are going to go to try a clear reference, general reference practice on Schoology under the course folder. So once you open it, you're going to find this exercise, and I'm going to just go through the first one here. In the 1800s, Spanish language newspapers sprang up throughout the Southwest. This helped many Mexican Americans maintain their ties to their culture. So this is the pronoun that I'm looking at right here. This word is referring to this whole idea that newspapers are springing up throughout the Southwest. So it's referring to an idea, not one specific thing. So instead, I could change that by saying something like Spanish language newspapers sprang up throughout the Southwest. This change helped Mexican Americans maintain ties, or this addition, or you could even restructure your sentence, saying something like, many Mexican Americans maintained ties to their culture in the 1800s by reading Spanish language newspapers which had sprung up throughout the Southwest. Something like that. So either way you're fixing it, but this is the pronoun that you're trying to get rid of. So try the rest of it. Remember, this is not for a grade. It's just for your practice. You can submit it to Schoology and I'll check it out and let you know how you're doing. But it's just for you, for your learning, and for your ACT value. All right, take care, have fun, stay safe, be happy, make smart choices.